state of Florida, where Representative Wilson, you are recognized. Good morning.
Thank you, homeboy. Thank you, Chairman Bean, Ranking Member Bonamici, and thank you to our witnesses for your testimony today. I must state up front that I find your claims of charter schools outperforming public schools to be not only misleading, but entirely deceptive and unfounded. Charter schools have failed to uphold their promises to the communities they serve. A number of years ago, I became a public school teacher to keep the promise that traditional public schools make. My mission was clear: to provide Black and brown children with opportunities for life, knowledge, civic engagement, and the pursuit of the American dream. Charter schools fall short of this promise. Instead, poorly monitored charter schools deliver subpar academic results, snatch money from our public schools, and then wash their hands clean of any responsibility. On top of that, in my home state of Florida, we see charters exacerbate patterns of resegregation along racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic lines. In Florida, Black students consistently perform worse in charter schools than in their traditional public schools. And while Florida's charters boast more A-rated schools, they also lead the pack in F-rated institutions compared to public schools, and that's just the reality. In fact, in 2022, a News 4 Jax report revealed that 10 out of 40 Duval County charter schools received D or F grades from the state. Does this sound consistently successful to you? Help me make sense of this. Again, the assertion that charters are best for minority, low-income communities is not just misleading, but downright dangerous and destined for failure. In a WTSP Tampa Bay report, Florida's charter school statistics paint a grim picture. A staggering 409 charter schools have shut down since the first opened in Florida in 1996. That is a 40% failure rate. So, as a former teacher and former principal myself, let's recap what we've learned. What are charter schools actually good at, if anything? We've learned that charter schools are good at snatching Florida's money that should be going to public schools, leaving them deprived. Then they peddle substandard education. And when the damage is done, they shut down and leave nothing but chaos in their wake. This is what we get with charter schools. We as a nation have worked very hard, made so many gains, and we simply cannot continue to regress into an educational landscape where we fail to keep the promises we made to our children. The very first charter school in the nation was established in my hometown of Florida, Miami, Florida, by Jeb Bush, who used that platform to win the governorship of Florida. After the school board, which I served on, passed the charter provision, despite my protest, I worked with Mr. Bush side by side to make sure that the school was at least halfway equal to our public schools. It was not, and it soon closed. Please stop diverting funds from public schools to experiment with our children. With that, I have a few questions. Dr. Vasquez, Highleg, data is consistently showing that traditional public schools are increasing in performance over time. Meanwhile, charter schools have higher teacher turnover rates. Would it not make sense to invest in our traditional public school system than rather than splintering our resources in a variety of school types?
Yes, and this is particularly important for the African American community. The NAACP has had 5 resolutions on charter schools, and the one about 2010 made exactly this point. And this is why the NAACP called for a moratorium on charter schools in 2016, and this is especially important because in urban areas, 1 in every 5 black students is now attending a charter school.
Out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wilson. Let's go to Utah, where the chair of the Higher Ed Subcommittee is recognized. Burgess Owens. Representative Owens, you are recognized.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr.